Hello, everyone. My name is Lillie Lane, and it is my pleasure to welcome each of you to this unpassive, globally changing lives, celebrate Black history. Today, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. And Dr. Derrick, will you play the Lift Every Voice, please?
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky.
Let it resound.
As the rolling sea.
I like this part right here. Come on.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on
March on.
till victory is won.
Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're gonna take you to church later. Let's go!
We'll be marching right until the victory is won.
To all my brothers out there,
Hold your head up, brothers, till the victory is won.
to all my sisters in the struggle,
Keep believing, sisters, till the victory is won.
till that day. Hey,
Let us march on
to victory.
till victory is won.
Thank you, Dr. Derrick, for playing that for us. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes, it was. So I don't think Dr. Derrick need an introduction because he's already demonstrated just tonight how concerned he is about others. He's very knowledgeable about the products of ONPASSIVE. He has a PhD degree in technology, and he's always willing to help. Anytime, any place, he's willing to help you. So at this time, Dr. Derrick is going to do a prophetic history.
Peace, blessings, and enough love. I mean, plenty love. I mean, a lot of love. I mean, whole heap of love to everyone on this platform, in this house at this time. Really appreciate everyone for coming out. Let me just put out a disclaimer. We're going to do a little history. It's a little different from the regular history, being that it's February, but it's not intended to offend anyone. I really, we're just doing a history, and history is history. History is just history. So, just look at it, in that view, that it is just history that is being presented. We started February 1, and we started with Africa, and most people believe that we all generated from Africa. We call it the motherland. And then we went into the Caribbean. Last week, we went into US and Canada. And now we're just kind of giving an overall of the whole aspect of this historical journey that we are presently going on, and which called the history of life. Because every one of us is involved in this history called life. And so I really just want to start with 1994. There was a movie that came out in 1994 by the name of Speed. And you wonder, what does Speed have to do with anything? But it was a very good movie. And I'm a movie person. And Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock with this action, Sandra Bullock with this action-packed movie. Actually, the movie is typically about this bus that was going to explode as soon as the needle, the speedometer, reaches 50. And if they descend below the 50, then of course the bus will explode. So that was just a bad situation. If you are on the bus, unfortunately, you are on the bus and you quite possibly might get killed. And so every movie always have a bad guy. And in this movie, in Speed, the bad guy actually, which was Dennis Hopper, he actually was the one that set the bomb on the bus to be exploded. And of course, Keanu Reeves and was the detective that was preventing this to happen. It reminds me really and truly of the one wicked person on the planet, in the universe. And this wicked person, we might not agree, but this one wicked person was the name of Lucifer. And Lucifer, with some of his angels, was of course thrown out of heaven. This is not a Bible class, but it's history. And at the end, you will see the history books that all of this information, yes, it is in the Bible also, but this is really history of how we came into slavery. Because slavery really started when we were disobedient. That's the bottom line. Slavery started when we were disobedient. And anytime you are disobedient, you are a slave to that which you are disobedient with. That's just truth. And so whether you believe in the Big Bang and you believe that this world comes out of that big explosion, which, you know, kind of a mind-boggling, because nobody believes that they can put some mechanical parts in the backyard and put a dynamite and blow up the mechanical parts in your backyard and get a brand new spanking BMW. Nobody would believe that. But yet still they believe that this wonderful world came out of an explosion. You know, that's just, you know, well, some people believe that it was created by the loving hands of God. And some people believe that will come from monkeys. That's cool also. And some people believe that we came, as I said, from the loving hands of God. So, but whatever your belief is, the fact of the matter today is that we are all in slavery. That's the fact of the matter. We are all in slavery. And, you know, history broadcasts that Noah tried to warn the people. And of course, unfortunately, you know, everybody drowned. And out of that Noah's Ark was 3 people. Four people, 4 families. Apart from Noah, there was Ham, Japheth, and Shem. And that was where we know that it was on Mount Ararat that the boat, that big boat, landed on. And history, as I said, provided all of that. But this is where people moved. Japheth and his people moved up to the European section of the world. Asia, Shem went over that side, and of course Ham went into Africa, and that concluded all of that. Most of the story that we are going to address now, which, as I said, is mostly in our history books, of the whole aspect of slavery and the captivations of slavery in our society even today, is in Mesopotamia. And Mesopotamia was a big, rich country, same place where you have Babylon and Medes and Persia and all of those pagan cultures. Polytheism was one of the greatest thing back in those days. And so whether you look at God of Thunder, which is the Father God, or you look at Mother God, which is Goddess Athens, and the Son of God, which was Apollo, that is the theme of what paganism was about: a father, mother, and child. And so that theme runs throughout all of paganism, no matter which section of paganism that cult actually runs into. And so, as we know, after the flood, it was Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And they built a tower. A tower was built in order to escape the wrath of God, so to speak. And one of the persons coming from those historical times was a man by the name of Nimrod. And Nimrod was a very, very powerful man back in the days. You would call him a person who could control animals. In our day and age, we call him lion tamers or animal tamers. And that was Nimrod. Nimrod was a very powerful man, and he controlled the people after the flood. And that was how the Tower of Babel was actually built. He was a mighty hunter, and he led the people right after the flood into obelisk. That was one of the symbol of worship. And yes, it is there in the government house in the US right now. It's right there in the Vatican. And you wonder how these paganic symbols reach into our society. It's really a symbol of slavery and control, which is done, as I said, by the man Nimrod, all the way back in those days. So you have Nimrod, which is the father, and then you have Semiramis, which is the mother, and then the child Tammuz, which was the child. So that was the birth of the occult, which these people actually used to even do children's sacrifice. Who would today, would you be a person who uphold someone who is sacrificing children? That was what was happening. And so sacrificing children was something that appeased the gods back in those times. So human sacrifices and children's sacrifices, that was all a part of the slavish mentality all the way as far back as right after the flood. And so Nimrod, as we said, he was a mighty hunter. But just like anybody else, he has to die, or he will die. All of us going to die at some point, unfortunately. And at this time, I just want to recognize Susan Bacall. It was an unfortunate situation last week, Wednesday. But Nimrod died. And it so happens that Shem, one of the sons of Noah, was leading an army and actually killed Nimrod. And in order to show people that he's not a god, they cut up his body and send his body out to the different provinces in order to show that this man was not a god. And so when they collect back his body parts, one of the body parts that was missing was his penis. I hope that is okay to say on this platform. But that was the only part that was missing. And so to build or to show memorial for this missing part, then they actually, as I said before, they built an obelisk in memory of this missing part of Nimrod. One thing to observe is that his mother, Semiramis, his mother recognized that he had a lot of powers. And so therefore his mother, Semiramis, married her son, his son Nimrod. And so that union, of course, did not bring forth any children. So yes, the mother of Nimrod also was his wife, and that did not produce any children really and truly. But as we said, Nimrod died, and because Nimrod died, you know, in order to keep the dynasty flowing, Semiramis, the mother, cooked up a story that, of course, Nimrod, the primary god, went up to the sun, the sun, and a beam of light, and all of this is in history, a beam of light came down and impregnated her, and that, of course, was the first virgin birth. Long before Jesus Christ came on the scene, that was the first virgin birth. And so they even worshiped Semiramis even more, because, you know, she was the queen of Babylon. And so the same name, the queen of Babylon, aka Madonna, aka Semiramis, aka Ishtar, which we know today as Easter. And we wonder why we celebrate Easter. That's for another session. But we're just looking at the whole aspect of slavery and where it really comes from, because a lot of people think that this slavery thing came from just the ships them coming from Africa and coming to the Caribbean and all of those, and coming up to the US and all of those things. No, slavery started long time ago. And so Nimrod was considered the first god that went up to the sun, the sun, and got his mother pregnant. And of course, that was the first virgin birth. So no matter what culture you might be in, whether it's Egyptian culture, or it is Greek culture, or it is Persian culture, or it is Rome culture, it doesn't matter. They might change the name a little bit, but it's those same three principles: the Father God, the Mother God, and of course the Son of God. So whether you're in Babylon and you have Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz, or you're into Greece and it is Zeus, Athens, and Adonis, it doesn't matter. And even that was adopted in the Christian church. And so we look at God, the Virgin Mary, and Jesus, of course. But it doesn't matter. It is coming all the way from the mother-child type of worship. And so father, mother, child, that is the worship coming all the way from Nimrod. And so Nimrod is the one that actually started that type of worship. So it was never a Christian type of worship. And so right through the passages of time, when we look at all the historical values of all these dates, 612 BC, when Babylon took power, they still had those kind of worship. 538, when Persia, Medes and Persia went into power, they still had that type of worshiping, or that type of a slavery mentality. 331, when Greece got into power, it was the same thing. Rome, when Rome got into power, and of course we know that through that dynasty with Rome, Jesus was crucified and all of that, and that is how we have all of these holidays now, because when 312 or 538 AD, when Constantine took power, then that was when a lot of the paganic practice came into the church. And so slavery was now at its highest, because during those times, which all of us, or most of us, know as the Dark Ages, 1,260 years, when Christians were persecuted by Christians because of the type of worship that one set of Christians were doing as opposed to another set. That was where the Colosseums and lions going out and tearing and killing and murdering people, because they did not have that belief. And so that is one of the things that Ashmafari is bringing about, the love for humanity. Because up until now, from however you think creation started, up until today, there has not been much love for humanity. And so that is the ending of slavery. The only way slavery will end is when we have the love for humanity. And that is why I love Unpassive so much, because of what it is portraying. And so these were how they used to worship their God and give baby children sacrifices and send them into that burning flame to be burnt and all of those things, you know, because they want to appease their gods. And so Semiramis, it doesn't matter what form or what look she might look, it's the same picture coming from all the way back in history. And so therefore, the New World Order is actually something that we need to look into, because just as how it happened back in the day, we know that the government, the one world government, want to rule again, just like how it was back in Babylon time, in Medes and Persia time, in Greece and in Rome. It's the same thing that is going to reoccur once again. And so one world government, one world religion. And so all of these secret societies is still applicable and still going on even today. And so it's just a choice. The bottom line, Jenka people, it's a choice. Whether you choose to obey, or you choose who you choose to obey and who you choose not to obey. Whichever one you choose to do, it's really up to you. It's a choice. But what Ashmafari, and these are the books that all of those information came from. And what Ashmafari, which I love very much, what Ashmafari wants to do is to bring humanity, restore humanity, so that all of us can live together. There's no financial bracket, because all of us is earning sufficient in order to take care of our families. I believe that crime will go down, disobedience will go down, and ultimately slavery will go down. Because one of the greatest slavery that Bob Marley talks about is mental slavery. And so that is the emancipation that all of us needs, is the emancipation from mental slavery, so that we can find it in our hearts to have love one for another, so that each one of us can grow in this business known as Unpassive together. I thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
That's very, very good. And I may add that one of the slaveries we have is financial, the financial control that has us all working so hard to keep paying bills and not spending time with our family and so on. So that's one of the slaveries that's going to be eliminated with this Unpassive.
Yes, definitely. Because you see, it's two main things. Time freedom and financial freedom. Those are the two that is captivating all of us into the slavish mentality. Because when you have to be slaving, working 3 jobs, and some people 4, I don't know how they do that. When you have to be working 3 and 4 jobs just to put food on your table, just to send your children to school, just to buy a few medication, and God forbid, or whoever forbid, that some other complication come in. It you know, people start to think to do something different to get that money fast, because it's all about trying to get the money fast. And so that is the mentality we try, and that's why a lot of people play lotto, because we're looking for that fast money. Slavery, it's slavery. All of that is slavery. So don't just think that, well, it's people working on the plantation and what have you. No. Slavery is how you think as a person, how you relate to each other as a person. The love that you have for humanity, that is what it is about. And so I have noticed from the first time in April of last year that I heard Ash, I realized and recognized that this man is a different man. This man is a man really that love humanity. And any person that really love humanity has to grow, must grow, despite of the odds, has to grow. From once you will genuinely love humanity, a lot of slavery will finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Derrick. Very well said. Great.
I just want to thank the presenter and everyone, those that attended, whether you're a guest or a guest. We got two kinds of guests tonight. You may be a member, but visiting us for the first time, we consider you as being a guest also tonight. So we thank you so much for coming. And we really want to thank those who stayed with us. We still have like 107 people online, and we really appreciate that. We really do.